Welcome back to the Dak Attack show. Today we are covering more Cowboys news and rumors, including Dak Prescott contract finally worked out, a trade rumor consisting of the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans, and one coach just got promoted and made a lot of people out there look foolish. Let's get right into the news. So first things first, we're going to address the biggest piece of information here with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has agreed, which means he had to give permission. He had to tell the Cowboys, yes, I'm okay with allowing you guys to trigger this switch in the contract. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have converted his $5 million roster bonus into a signing bonus, adding 2 more void years and freeing up $4 million of cap space. Prescott's cap hit drops to $55.4 million, but the dead cap on his 2025 void increases to $40.5 million. A long-term extension is still highly expected. 100%, this still means a long-term extension is probably coming down the pipeline. I believe this move right here was probably made either to free up some cap room to sign draft picks or to free up some cap room to do like a little sign and trade with one of the teams that we're about to mention in just a second is linked to the Cowboys and some trade rumors. And some people have taken this as an indication that that means that the Cowboys probably aren't working on a long-term contract extension with Dak, because why else would he restructure his deal right now, right? Outside of the fact that he's trying to help the team create a little bit more cap space, and we have no clue what timeline Steven and the Joneses want to get all these extensions done. Because remember, we still got to extend CeeDee Lamb too. CeeDee is probably more of a priority as far as extending this offseason than anything else. CeeDee still has to get extended as well, y'all. So remember, Dak isn't the only guy up for a contract extension. Dak isn't the only Cowboy that we haven't had news about a contract extension with just yet. And I do not think that anybody should look at this move, especially considering how high that dead cap number will be and the fact that you're going to have to pay whatever other quarterback, if you were to bring a guy in, you will still have to pay a quarterback a lot of money. And for those of you guys that are looking like, oh, Trey Lance is the quarterback of the future, this means that Trey Lance is going to be the starter in 2025. Not so fast, my friends. If you actually take a look at the cap hits of these players, right? So Dak would have a dead cap hit of about $40 million now, right? If we actually take a look, bro, Trey Lance is due $22 million next season. That means they're not going to be able to pay. They would literally be better off just actually giving Dak his contract rather than to pay $58 million in salary to a quarterback on your roster. That means you would essentially be paying $58 million for Trey Lance to take over as your starter following this season, because in 2025 he has an option with a $22 million cap hit on that 5th year, guys. So that means it would serve you better to actually just extend Dak still. From a business perspective, even with this switch triggered, it would still serve the Cowboys better due to the dead cap hit and just the way everything lines up right now. Dak, I promise you, Dak is not giving up any of his leverage in this situation. One positive thing this means is the Cowboys and Dak Prescott are talking, and Dak clearly is willing to work with the Cowboys because he allowed them to essentially get this slight relief right here of about $5 million to add to their cap space, right? Now, you heard me mention the fact that the Cowboys could be trying to free up a little bit of space so that way they can execute a sign and trade, meaning they would trade with the Houston Texans to bring Damien Pierce into the running back room, and then they would sign him to like a 1 or 2 year deal for about $3 to $4 million essentially, right? But this is a proposed trade by Blogging the Boys writer David Howman, and he suggested Pierce as a trade target. And he says, while Howman admits that Pierce's stock has fallen over the past year or so, he explains that he is still worth considering. While the Cowboys have done some due diligence on a couple free agent running backs, Pierce would be an excellent trade candidate, Howman wrote. His running style fits well into this offense, and Dallas would have him under contract for 2 years, with his cap hit never going higher than $1.3 million. Between Pierce's diminished role in Houston and the Joe Mixon trade, the Cowboys could likely get him for relatively cheap compensation. If it's a draft pick, I don't want it. I don't understand the fascination with people wanting to trade draft picks that could bring you a young player that's going to be as cheap as it could possibly be, going to bring you a young player that you don't know the full potential of just yet. But a lot of these draft picks that are coming in, they can easily be just as good as a guy like a Damien Pierce. So I would rather them draft 2 rookie running backs than to do something like this. And if we actually take a closer look at Damien Pierce and what he has been, what reason do we have to want Damien Pierce so badly exactly? Y'all don't want Dalvin Cook. At least Dalvin Cook has proven he can be a good NFL running back. Damien Pierce has yet to show the capabilities of being a legitimate NFL running back for an extended period of time. He had a pretty decent rookie season, carried the ball 220 times, 939 yards for about a 4.3 yard per carry average. And then in 2023, just this last season, it's like he fell off of a cliff or something. And I'm not really sure exactly what happened with Damien Pierce. I know the Texans started running the ball, kind of using like a running back by committee type of deal. But he completely fell off of a cliff, still got a decent amount of attempts, 145 attempts, but only a 2.9 yard per carry average. Brothers, why would you trade any draft capital in a draft in which we're already missing a couple of picks thanks to the Gilmore, Cooks, and Trey Lance acquisitions? We're already missing a few picks. Why would you trade any more of your draft picks? Why would you trade any more of your draft picks, especially for this type of player, a second-year guy? You would be better off just drafting a fresh rookie, not having to deal with the trade, not having to deal with it immediately, having to give him a 2, 3, whatever many years. You can draft you a rookie, man. And to be honest, if you're going to do a move like this, why not sign someone like a Dalvin Cook? Those of y'all that are all out on Dalvin Cook and it's strictly because of his age, why not just sign someone like a Dalvin Cook if you're going to sign a guy with a 2.9 yard per carry average, carried the ball 145 times, got 416 yards off of it? What are we really doing here? What are we really doing here? But I will say, he is a very, very young guy. He's only going to be 24 by the time the season would start. So with a change of scenery and maybe another different system, he could be kind of returned back to how he was in 2022. I still suspect that whatever running back we bring in, that is not your potential 1,000-yard rusher. Whatever rookie we draft is probably going to be the guy that gets closest to getting 1,000 yards rushing this season. I think whoever we bring in is probably going to get close to about that 125 to 150 carry range. And this is going to be more of like a spell back, kind of like just a veteran to kind of take the rookie out for a second, change of pace, maybe hammer the opposing defensive line a little bit. But I don't think that whatever running back we get, he's not going to be the starter. I think everyone needs to kind of understand that he's not going to be the starter. They're going to have a rookie running back playing as the starter for the Cowboys in the next season. But I'm out on the Damien Pierce deal. Specifically, not only just because of that, but because this man has had a few different injuries already, and he's only been in the league for a couple of seasons, right? In 2019, he had a head cranial injury where he suffered an apparent head injury during the game versus Auburn. He missed the next game, probably a concussion or something. In 2022, he had a high ankle sprain. He had a high ankle sprain. He went down early in the fourth quarter and was placed on IR in December of 2022. And in October 29th, he had pretty much the same type of injury, a pedal ankle sprain and a pull, unspecified grade 1. Pierce sustained an ankle sprain in week 8 versus the Panthers. He missed 3 games. So this is a guy that not only has he been kind of disappointing, but he hasn't even been healthy. You know what I'm saying? He's gotten injured every year he's been in the league so far. Not exactly sure why this would be someone that you really, really want on your team, to be completely honest, especially when your running back room is already going to be kind of light in the butt a little bit because they've made it very clear they're not going to overinvest in that position. All right, so I'm out on this one. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm out on that rumor. That wouldn't really move me one way or the other, right? Now, the last piece of information I want to go over real quick, and this is the information that's going to make everyone look a little bit silly out there. Everyone was ready to jump to the conspiracy theory branches and start reaching for all kind of stuff when the Cowboys blocked defensive back coach Al Harris from interviewing for a job on Dan Quinn's staff earlier this season. People were like, oh, the Cowboys are home against his will. Oh, why would they do this? Oh, they're keeping him from getting a better job. When all of that stuff was untrue. Because for one, teams can't block teams unless it's a lateral move. All right. If it's a promotion, you can't actually block a guy from going to take a better job. Right. So unless it's a lateral move, you can't block it. Now, for all the people that are so quick to jump to conspiracy theories anytime it has anything to do with the Cowboys, get some air, relax, calm down a little bit. I absolutely love this move by the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, letting Al Harris be the assistant head coach, because for one, could this be Dallas grooming their next potential head coach for next season? If Mike McCarthy is gone, is Al Harris stepping into that position? And this honestly makes you ask even more questions. Al Harris has been there with Dak Prescott. Usually what a lot of people thought was, oh, Mike McCarthy's on a one-year deal. Whoever the new coach that comes in, he may want a new quarterback. Well, that won't be the case if it's Al Harris and he's already been there with Dak and he has a relationship with Dak and he understands his strengths and weaknesses and what that team needs. That won't be the case. And honestly, this feels like a Cowboy type of thing to do. I'm 100% of the belief that this is the Cowboys essentially anointing Al Harris, like letting them know, like, hey, brother, if it don't work this season, you're 100% next. You're next up, whether it be a defensive coordinator job or getting promoted straight to head coach, which I think he should at least be a coordinator for one season before seeing him as a head coach. But whether it be one way or the other, I think this is a great move for the Cowboys. I think Al Harris is easily one of the most impressive young defensive coaching candidates in the entire NFL. And I like the fact that Jerry and Mike McCarthy have put a title on him that essentially prevents him from being poached. All right, that's the biggest thing about this designation, is it's going to prevent him from being poached unless he's like getting an actual head coaching job, or even maybe, I don't know if a defensive coordinator job would count as a promotion over an assistant head coach job. But the way that they did this was all about protecting an asset, and they believe Al Harris is an asset, and I do as well. So I'm very happy to see this. I don't agree with everything the Joneses are doing. I do want them to be a little bit more aggressive come free agency time, but at the same time, I can't poo-poo everything that they're doing either, because at the end of the day, we're still fielding some of the most talented rosters in the league. We're just disappointing in the playoffs, and that goes on pretty much everybody. That goes for Dak and every other player on the team. We're just disappointing in the playoffs, and until we get over that hump, the criticisms are always going to be there, and rightfully so, and you really can't do anything against that, right? But either way, appreciate you guys tuning in. This was Cowboys News and Rumors with the Dak Attack Show. I'll see you guys on the next one. We still same old Cowboys.